anybody that's not here that needs to be here before I start, I'm more than willing to wait if y'all know anybody. No? Well, come on in here, Mr. Griffin. Good to see you. I got a bunch of people from the city here that we're going to be talking to in a minute, and I know a lot of you are here to hear about the proposed roundabout in Seville, and they're in front of Hunter's Ridge. We're going to talk extensively about that in just a moment. And before I do, though, as you know, we normally do these District 6 updates. I call them community meetings. I usually wait and do them in January or February, but because we needed to go ahead and have a meeting about this, I decided to go ahead and do it now. So, you know, who knows what the weather will be like going into January anyway, so we can go ahead and be done with this, and everybody can have a good Christmas. So, having said that, appreciate y'all being here. I didn't know how many to expect because last year I was able to send out some cards that you probably got in the mail that reminded you of this, and for some reason that kind of fell through the cracks this year. We're not able to do that, so I relied on newspaper and social media to get the word out. I think we got the word out through word of mouth pretty good. It's a pretty similar crowd to what we had last year. We've got a lot going on in the city, as I'm sure you have heard. We just opened our brand new parking deck and had to close the other one down because of some safety concerns. We just did that last week. And now we're going through the process of trying to find a date to demo that parking deck. There will be one of two things will go there. We're still sorting out details on our brand new city hall. So either a city hall will go there or a parking lot, a ground level parking lot will go there. So city hall goes where that parking deck comes down, and across where the old current city hall is will be a parking lot, and vice versa, if that makes any sense to you. We've got a lot of other projects going on in Park and Rec that Mr. Jordan's I'm going to get him to tell you about. Some really exciting things, and several other things, and not only in just in District 6, but the city, that I want to get into tonight. My goal is to get out of here by 7 o'clock, but also if you've got questions, we'll stay here until your final question is answered. So with that, get my notes and see how I decided to do this tonight. Mayor Betterton is here, by the way. Will also talk to us tonight. Mr. Griffin, who represents District 3, is here. I think Ms. Simmons said she was coming. Sent me a text and she was coming. But David Coombs, where are you? I'm going to start with you, David. You're going to be the lucky guy tonight. Now, back in February, when we got the big ice, snow, was it February? Well, it was the first part of the year. I'm okay with snow, but ice, well, that's a different animal right there. So we all know how bad that was. And immediately after it thawed out, we had a big meeting, and we decided we were going to be better prepared for a situation like that if it were to happen again. And of course, I think one of the big misunderstandings is that the city of Florence handles every paved spot inside the city limits, which is not the case. The state handles a lot of roads, and we handle some too. And so we made preparations for that. And we asked Ms. Simmons, come on in. I was just telling them I thought you were coming. So, and she does usual outdresses always, so just come on in here. And I see David, so I'll let you talk about that first and foremost, and then just update on anything else going on in your department, if you would.
Very good. I'm David Koontz. I'm the manager of the Solid Waste Treatment and Recycling Department for the city of Florence, and the snow plant guy. So, we kind of had a rough time last year, as you know that, and so we kind of all sat down and met and tried to come up with a better way to get us better prepared for another event. And there are certainly challenges, and the challenges are that no two events are alike. And so what we have done is we have come in with and been able to purchase a couple of 1-ton 4-wheel drive pickup trucks with removable snow plows on them. We have spreaders that go on the back of these things. These are a plastic spreader so they won't corrode. We've got a series of spreaders that will fit in pickup trucks. And so we're way better equipped, more so than we were last year, as our equipment had aged quite a bit. We still have some of our older stuff, but we've got that, and we're kind of ready. We have met with AlDOT, who, if you think about it, most of the roads through Florence, the main roads, are AlDOT-controlled roads. They have a plan to treat those roads. We are a priority city in northwest Alabama with AlDOT District 6. But what does that mean? That means they're going to come through and pre-treat their roads, and they'll treat them if the event happens. But then once that's over, they're going on to the other cities, so they kind of leave us and move on. So we don't really want to work on the AlDOT roads unless we just have to. So we've got enough of our own roads. We've kind of prioritized those. If you think about that, that's going to be your hospital, so we can get you in and out of it. The ambulance road, the ambulances are stationed on, police and fire, so that we can get the emergency responders out. The nursing homes, we want them cleared. And then the main thoroughfares that are city only. So in other words, if you think about, let's say Wood Avenue, Pine Street, those, Court Street, those kind of roads kind of rank up on the priority list. We will never have the equipment to do them all, but we do at least have the means that we can certainly put a dent in it. So these snow plows that we've got, if we have a snow event, they have a rubber blade on the front of them that's removable, and we will be able to do more than we could have done before. So we hope we don't have another snow event. We've also bought some other chemicals that we can treat things with. Bridges are a priority too. We only actually have 3 in the city that are ours. That's Pine Street, Waterloo Road, and Hermitage Drive. The rest of the bridges through the city belong to AlDOT. So we don't treat those, we let them treat them. And so we got to partner with them to try to make this all work better. So we got another presence we'll have this time is through the Emergency Management Agency with police and fire. We're all better connected than we were, so that we can communicate with them all. And EMA will be kind of the lead on this, so that they can get the word out of, hey, here's what's going on, here's what the roads are like. But it's hard for us to say that, okay, we've treated Pine Street, but it's still probably not safe. Last year it wasn't safe. So as I told the mayor many times in the council, I said, you know, last year's event was such a hard event that there comes a time when you just really need to stay in. So I got my tail chewed many times from people that wanted to get to Walmart, grocery stores. The problem was that they didn't have anything there anyway. So, you know, we've got a better plan. We've got a few trouble spots that we've got a plan to treat. One in the Heritage Village is one that we struggle to get the street department into because of that curve there when you go in there. So those little hot spots are what we're going to work on and try to make so that we can make this work better for everybody. And let's see how it goes. We still have a couple of road graders. We still have some old trucks that we'll use. And so let's see what happens. Hopefully we'll do a better job than what we did. Don't think we're going to treat your neighborhood roads. We probably won't. Now, we might plow it if it's a snow event, because the two plow trucks, they're going to run. You know, if they can do some good, they'll run. If they can't, you know, if it's ice and it's stuck to the ground, we probably won't do much good with those. It'll be soft or nothing. So any questions? We'll do questions now at the end.
Yeah, we'll do them at the end, but I do want you to elaborate a little bit on the building we just purchased and industrial park and what we're going to do there that's going to save them money down the road.
Yeah, so one other thing in the solid waste department, we've had a terrible price increase from our contractor on our garbage disposal. So currently we collect our own garbage, but we take it to their transfer station. And they have gone from, we were paying them about $34.88 a ton, now paying them $66 a ton to handle our garbage and to haul it away to their landfill. And so we set out to look for property that we could build our own transfer station on. The more steps of this process that we as a city control, the more we can control costs. The price of your garbage is never going to come down. It's always going to go up. But by doing this, we have a spot now, an industrial park, that we can build a transfer station and eventually, in a couple of years, be able to take that part away from the contractors and do that ourselves. Pretty simple operation, a ramp, a trough, the truck backs up in the trough, we dump our garbage into that truck, and then a contractor hauls that truck away somewhere. So once again, we're controlling more of the process than we do now. Currently, our neighbors that do this are paying, you know, significantly less per ton than what we're paying per ton. So Florence is growing, our garbage rate still increases. That's one part of this property. Does allow us room one day, 30 years from now, might have to build another transfer station. If we have a storm event, we can put brush out there. We're gonna look at an air curtain burner to process wood waste so we don't have to bury it in the current landfill. A lot of potential of having a 26-acre piece of property. But the other thing on there is a building, 66,000 square foot building that we are going to create a central garage. The city doesn't have that now. So by pooling our resources of all our general fund departments, we can create a central garage so that police cars, fire trucks, street department trucks can come to one place, have their oil changed, tires serviced, and that's a great way that we can control costs in the future by doing we buy stuff in bulk, we buy it off the state of Alabama purchasing bid. We're gonna make that happen and gradually work into that. We won't do body work, not in the plans, but we might do, engine work, transmission work, and everything once we gradually staff this thing up. We have a pretty good group of mechanics at solid waste and street now that will move out there eventually. And then we'll start working on and doing services on the rest of the city. The city has a lot of vehicles. So that's what the future for this property holds.
All right, David, thank you. You just read it, Mike, right there, if you would. I'm in my fourth year, heading into my fifth year of being a city council member, and if that sounds weird to you, it is weird. This particular group of council members, the state gave us 1 extra year to serve. We had a 5-year term. The reason they did that is they want the next municipal elections to be on a standalone year. So next time we vote, which will be in August, we'll go back to 4-year terms. I said when I ran, I'd like to serve 2 terms. I can't imagine anybody in their right mind willing to serve more than that. I say that, I'm not kidding. This has been everything I thought it would be. Very enjoyable. I enjoy working with people. I enjoy trying to solve problems. But I think one of the big misunderstandings that people have about city council members is that we have this enormous amount of power that we can say what's going to happen and what's not going to happen, which is the furthest thing from the truth. We have department heads that are professionals in what they do. They're experts in what they do. We have engineers, we have gas and water department, we have David. List goes on and on. And for someone like me to try to tell them how to do their job would be just, I'm not going to do it. I'm not going to be one of those people. But I think people think that if there's something planned to be done, that we can go in and say, hey, we're going to do this. Because I, Jimmy Oliver, District 6 City Council member with a 40-year career at radio, say we don't do this. That's not the way it works. So what we try to do is be a good voice, a go-between between our districts and the department heads. And as always is the case, if I go to them with anything, they always explain to me why they have to do this a certain way and why we need to do this. And there's a book of codes and regulations they have to go by that I never even knew existed until I got into about my 3rd year of being a council member. I got schooled on it enough that I know a little bit more about it now. So I say that to say this. I get calls all the time about, why don't you stop this or why don't you do that? And I try to explain it the best I can, with the limited amount of knowledge I have about their fields. And that's why I had them all come here tonight, because I know you all got questions about the proposed roundabout up here at Seville Street and many other things. And another one that I got a lot of questions about is the water tower that you see going in just up the road here. Tad Cole is our gas and water manager, and he's here tonight to come up and address that among some other things. So Tad, thank you.
Well, thank you for the opportunity to come and speak. We've got a lot going on in our department right now. Of course, Mr. Oliver mentioned we've got the new tank that's going up just up the street here. We're about 65-70% complete with it. You're going to start seeing some sandblasting, also some coating, painting going on, and then over the course of the next few weeks, months, you'll see the internal hoist that they've got mounted there. You're going to see that bubble, we call it. You're going to see them raise it up. They'll also bring some external cranes, and they'll lift that into place, and then they'll mount it, and then of course seal it and get it to where it will hold water. It's got an aerator that goes into it that stirs the water and keeps everything fresh, keep from turnover time. That tank is 2 million gallons, so it's one of the largest tanks in the area. If you've been out Highway 72 in the Killen area recently, right beside Brooks High School, there's a tank that's almost identical to this tank. That tank is 1.5 million gallons, so that gives you a little bit of comparison. But it will be relatively the same makeup, same structure, the same color, minus the home of the Brooks lines that's written in orange on that tank right there beside the school. We will not have that here. It's going to simply say Florence on it. We have several schools right there that are in the same proximity of the tank, and it's hard to justify Mars Hill, Florence High School, River Hill, all that type of thing. So we just we elected to just put the city of Florence up there, or Florence in letters. Believe it or not, the letters on that tank, once it goes up, you'll be able to see those letters are going to be about 8 feet tall. For every 100 feet of distance off the road, the letter has to be 1 foot. And so that tank is about right at 600 feet off the highway, but we chose to make it just a little bit bigger where it would be visible. Of course, we'll talk about questions with that a little bit later on. Besides the tank, be glad to address and answer anything that I can.
Let me ask that question about it real quick. I know it's on some of their minds, because I called you about it yesterday. This goes back to 2021.
Yes,
the
and even
planning
before
on
that.
this. And I know then you weren't the manager.
Correct.
It was Mike. And then I called him, and my question was then, why do we have to put this right here?
That's
And, can we relocate this? And I was given a very, as I just mentioned, a very knowledgeable answer.
right.
And if you could share that.
Sure. So this has actually been about a 5-6 year project. Engineers of the South, which is located here in Florence off of Arlington Court, they're the ones that were behind choosing the location, if you will. So as you all know, the Cloverdale Road area has really expanded and grown and will continue to grow, and hopefully we will see other areas out this end of the city continue to grow. So we needed an area, a location that had a high elevation. That way you don't have a tank that's 150 feet in the air. This tank's going to be roughly around 70 to 80 feet. So we needed a high point, and so that location became available. And so it was really luck of the draw. There was also other locations that we looked at, but because of the way the hydraulics and everything works out, we needed it to be able to supply pressure. We needed it for volume, and so that location became available. And that's the reason it was picked. It was actually that. It was narrowed down to that. And another location right up behind where, you could call it the Target Shopping Center, Best Buy, where Best Buy was. There was some talk of an area up there. Now, of course, all that precedes my time here, so I'm not, as up to date on that as I should be. But this location was optimal for us because of the elevation. And so now instead of having a 150 foot tall tank, you're going to have roughly an 80 foot tall tank because it's kind of up on that knoll there, up on the high point. And so a lot of discussion, a lot of engineering, a lot of research went into that, and that's the reason why that particular location was chosen. So, and we can talk more about that. I'll touch real quickly. Some of you may have received a letter here a few weeks ago in the mail regarding the lead service line inventory. That letter is just basically telling you that if you received one, your service line has not yet been inventoried. We've not yet had an opportunity to get around and see what type of line is feeding your meter and see what type of line is leaving your meter. We're diligently working on that. We have a 6 to 8 man crew that work on it every day. But we've got a lot of other projects that are going on in the city, and so we've had to pull those guys off at different times, and it's kind of slowed the process down. But we are working diligently on that, and we hope to complete that inventory by fall of 2025. We've already been working on it roughly a year, but we have 28,000 customers, so it just takes time. We have to go to every meter and inspect the line feeding and the line leading. If you do have a lead service line, if we find a lead service line, we will replace it within 48 hours. That's just our policy that we've put in place. If there is a lead service line found on the private side of the meter, on the homeowner side, you will receive a letter stating that you have a lead service line, and we highly, highly encourage you to have that replaced. Now, of course, you own it. It's privately maintained. We can't force you to do it. But we highly encourage you to have that replaced, to limit your exposure to lead. I will say we're roughly between 55 and 60% complete right now with our inventory, and we've only found 2 service lines that were lead, and both of them were on the homeowner's side of the meter. And we sent the letter, like we said that we would, and they have actually agreed to have those replaced. And I'd be glad to answer any questions about that. The last thing that I wanted to bring up, and then move on quickly to the next speaker, is PFAS. Perfluoral and polyfluoroalkyl substances. I know you've all probably watched movies or read and had different things brought to your attention. There's a really good movie on Netflix now called Dark Waters. It's a really good, gives you a good background of how PFAS got started by DuPont and 3M. It's pretty historical as far as facts. I've watched it a couple times myself. I find it interesting, but of course this is my profession. But right now we're looking, the only plant that we're going to have to upgrade to remove PFAS is our Wilson Lake facility. And right now we have an expected cost of around $80 million to upgrade that facility. We don't know exactly where the $80 million is going to come from just yet, but we'll face that as we have to. But just to kind of give you an update, we will be updating that facility in the near future. We have to 2029 to meet compliance, but our goal is to have that up and running by the end of 2027. Because as you know, this is a nationwide mandate. Every water system that has PFAS contamination is going to have to put, some type of remedial treatment system in, and that's going to be supplies, that's going to be engineering, that's going to be construction, and if everybody gets on board at one time, that means there's going to be a shortage. So we're going to go ahead and try to get ours. We've actually got 2 pilot studies going right now, and just the pilot studies alone was $500,000 just to perform these 2 pilot studies to make sure that what we're testing is going to work. So we hope to complete those. It's a 6-month study. We hope to complete those by spring of 2025. And so if you have any questions about PFAS, I'd be glad to talk about that and address any issues that you have with that.
All right, Ted, thank you. I appreciate it very much. Looking around, I noticed our police officers here a moment ago, and I forgot to recognize them. One of the issues that we had last year, and we still have a tiny issue with it, but I do believe it's gotten better, was trucks, semi-tractor trailer trucks using Mars Hill Road. And I think we covered that pretty extensively last year and explained that we had met with people in Industrial Park and been working on that. That number has really gone down drastically due to us, being proactive about it, but we still see them occasionally, but it's nothing like it was. So it's still kind of a work in progress. So bring that up to tell you to continue to be patient with us on that. It's something that we still occasionally will get a call about. I encountered one myself the other day and I told Chief Holt about it. And we always follow up, make calls, and find out what's going on. And 9.9% of the time, it's Google. Just these people, these drivers come in, they've never been here, they're following their GPS, and it just takes them, the wrong way, or not the way they're supposed to be going. So with that, I'm really excited about park and recreation projects that we've got, being worked on as we speak. McFarland Park is about to get a lot of work done on it. Of course, we've got money to do that with, and we're about to have a world-class pickleball and tennis facility, or tennis facility and pickleball. It's going to be extremely nice, and both of these things, I will tell you, I believe it with all my heart, they're going to bring millions of tax dollars into our city through the years to come. I mean, both sports, tennis will always be here. They tell me, I have people tell me all the time, yeah, you know, pickleball may come and go. Well, it may, but tennis is always going to be here. But I don't think pickleball is going anywhere. I mean, they're building pickleball facilities all over this country right now. So I'm proud to say that we're going to have a top-notch one here real soon. Bill, you want to come on and be making your way on up? Bill, Jordan is our Park and Rec Director, and I serve as a committee chairman for Park and Rec Committee. Each council member serves on 3 committees in the city, and we chair one of them. And it's my pleasure to chair the Park and Rec Committee and be a part of all these exciting projects. So, Bill, I'm going to let you update them. And I want you first to start out, and I just mentioned how I feel like pickleball and tennis is really going to infuse millions of tax dollars into the city. Our sportsplex, it is just unbelievable. If you don't have kids, you probably never go out there. But it is, again, one of the best in the state. We just hosted a couple of World Series out there back in the summer. And tell them how much money that brought in to our city, and then first, and then tell them about all the other stuff.
First of all, thank you for allowing me to come tonight, and before I get too far ahead, I want you alluded to the department heads. Really, before I say anything, without any of them, none of this could have been done. So I want to say how humble it is to work alongside them, and appreciate everything that they do. And our 75 full-time employees, plus about another 75 part-time, we could not do that without them as well. So I'm just the one that used to stand up here and talk about all the good things. They actually get to do all the good things, keep our parks looking great. So Councilman Oliver mentioned the sportsplex, and just that one tournament, which was 20 days, I shouldn't say one tournament. It was 2 World Series, brought in over $3.8 million in visitor spending. So that was just one World Series, 20 days, and I'll kind of cover the number of teams, et cetera, here in just a second. I did want to start out, I got a report today. This is from the University of Alabama Center for Economic Development, and it talks a little bit about outdoor recreation and some trends in outdoor recreation, which I think really correlate to some of the things that are going on. And it talks about how the nation's economy and outdoor recreation is about $1.2 trillion in the economy, and it's supported just less than 5 million American jobs. So travel, tourism, construction, boating, hunting, fishing, biking, camping, gardening, and outdoor concerts amount for about $100 billion. And the key to what I believe is that we've done very good. We're blessed to have support from the mayor and council is that we're economic development and quality of life is which one of the things that they look at. So starting with the sportsplex, we just finished 5 turf fields and a multi-purpose field, and we hosted the Babe Ruth and Cal Ripken World Series. So the Babe Ruth World Series, we had 56 teams from all over the world: Mexico, Australia, the Netherlands, and Puerto Rico. The Cal Ripken, we had 20 teams, and I mentioned 3.8. And we partnered with the Florence Tourism to host those. And we'll be doing that again in 2025. And so through their tracking of data, $9.2 million in direct spending from these tournaments that were hosted in our area. And that's bass tournaments, golf, disc golf, and other baseball and softball tournaments, which goes back to that data that I talked about at the first. We hosted UNA and Alabama softball game. We're doing that again in March. And just about quality of life, these are the fall numbers that we utilize in multi-purpose field for some of this. Soccer, we had 450 kids. Tackle football, we had 88. We had 62 cheerleaders and 375 flag football team players. Moving on to tennis pickleball facility that Mr. Oliver mentioned, we're about 27% complete with that. We're hoping to be done in May of 2025. It'll be 14 covered pickleball courts with a championship court, 6 uncovered, 12 hard-court tennis courts with a championship court, and 6 soft courts. You mentioned McFarland RV and Fishing Pier. We, hopefully, I was talking with TBA today, hopefully they're gonna release that permit to us sometime this week, so hopefully after the first of the year, we'll be able to bid that out. We were blessed to receive a matching grant from the National Park Service for $437,000, and that was for the work of NACOG, and Senator Tommy Tuberville and Katie Britt. They really worked hard to get that for us, which that'll be camping pads, electrical upgrades, water and sewer upgrades, Wi-Fi, and some other things. The fishing pier, which I know is a big topic for a lot of people, and it's been closed for quite some time, but that permit will allow us to start the rebuilding of that pier. We're working on the W.C. Handy Recreation Center renovation, and we're almost complete with phase 1. We're working into phase 2. Hopefully we'll be done between sometime in March or April of next year. One thing that I'm really, really proud of is the new River Heritage Trail. I don't know if you've got an opportunity to utilize it, but it's a 1.3 mile paved trail that was out there today around my bike. It's really, really beautiful along the water. So I really encourage, if you haven't been out there, to utilize that. And we have a maintenance facility for our maintenance folks that is almost complete in that area. And just got a lot of good things going on. Really, really blessed to be here, and I really thank you. And again, I thank all the people that I work with and Councilman Oliver.
Bill, thank you. I appreciate it so much. All right. When I think week 1, day 1, when I took office, my very first call, I think, was for Katie. We need a light at Hunter's Ridge. We need a traffic light. I'm like, okay, we'll get that. No problem. So we go out and meet, and I expressed that we need a traffic light at Hunter's Ridge. Well, I was, again, I go back to what I talked to a little bit ago. I was given reasons why probably couldn't happen, couldn't work, and all the plans that were down the road for Gresham Road. And here we are, 4 years later, and it's still one of the top things that we've been trying to get resolved. And since we started talking about it, the traffic is even worse on Gresham Road. And it's something that we all are extremely aware of. I got invited to Church of Highlands last week for their opening service. At their 8 o'clock service, they had 1,140 people. It takes us 10 months here at St. James to get 1,140 people in the church. So I think everybody sitting here is concerned about Gresham Road and the issues that are there. There are a lot of plans for it. Which one of you guys want to do the talking? Ty, you want to come on up? We're going to talk about the proposed roundabout, and I'll let Todd introduce people who are going to come up and talk about it. I saved this last 30 minutes for you. Personally, as you know, I talked to you many times about traffic lights, stop signs, and I want you to explain to everyone why we are where we are now with the roundabout. That's one question. One of the others, if and when this roundabout construction starts, how are my residents at Hunter's Ridge going to get in and out while that's going on? And all the other particulars about it that I know they've got questions about. And I know y'all do have questions, and I respect that. I'm going to let him talk and let his guest who did this design here talk. And then when they're done, we'll ask some questions, okay? All right.
Thank you. Again, my name is Todd Sullivan. I'm Assistant City Engineer for Florence. I'll kind of give you an update on the project, and we've got some maps up here of where we're at. And I think looking at those maps, seeing is in design right now will help kind of answer some of those questions. We'll be glad to answer any questions you have, and it may be easier to answer questions while we're looking at a map versus in a big audience like this. But backing up, starting with the project, Gresham Road. It's right now it's at around 6,000 cars a day. So, like Mr. Oliver said, we've been looking at a solution for Gresham and Hunter and Seville right there. And getting out can be dangerous, and that's what we're looking at to improve this situation. First question we get a lot is, can you put a traffic signal up? Why did y'all go with the roundabout? And right now, as far as the design goes, we're at the 30%. We've contracted with Garber Engineering. They're designing the roundabout for us in the intersection. They're at 30%, and that's kind of where you see the plans at today. And when I say 30%, the final design is closer to that. It just takes, once you get the layout that you're going with, it takes a little, that's when you can dive down into details. So 30% does show what the proposed layout will look like. And once again, this is just for design. So once Garber's through with the design, then it will be taken back to City Council then for approval for construction. The design, we looked at, I don't know how many phone calls we've got between, hey, we need a four-way stop, hey, we need a signal. And believe it or not, a roundabout is the most efficient way we feel like in this area to move traffic. And there we have one down in East Florence. That intersection through there, I'm sure y'all have gone through it. To me, there's only one or two before that roundabout was in East Florence. If you were coming off Royal and you were turning and going up Huntsville Road, left turn, you had a left-hand turn. And how many places do y'all go through an intersection to where the left-hand turn has a right of way? I mean, that is not what driver expectation is. So put a roundabout right there, and it has been successful. You look at the data for a roundabout. It does quite a few things. One, it slows traffic down. When you come and enter a roundabout, it will feed into the roundabout and it will slow traffic down. That is because we get a lot of complaints about speeding on Gresham Road. And the problem with Gresham Road, it is in the county and it's a city. It's a city street for a small section. The majority of it's county road. So our police officers, with it being a county road, it's not a city street. So this area through here is in the city, so we can control this. So also one of the benefits of a roundabout is the fact that if there's no traffic coming, you don't have to stop. The traffic, let's say you're coming out of Hunter's Ridge and there's not anything, no traffic coming. If there was a signal there or if there was a stop sign there, you have to stop and you'll have to wait for the light to turn. To where there's a roundabout, you're able to just continue on if you want to turn left or right, because you won't have to wait for that signal to change. And the other is safety, and that's probably the most important part. When you see a dangerous intersection or a deadly crash, they are T-bone crashes, 90-degree turns. And when you hit somebody head-on or right, a T-bone instant. And with a roundabout, you have no conflicting, no paths of confliction there. So you're going around in a circle. Traffic never crosses each other. So when you are in the afternoon, you're pulling out at Hunter's Ridge, and you're having to look back to your right to see if anything's coming, or if you're wanting to make a turn there, you're not looking back in the sun, not being able to see, and worry about a car coming at you from the side. With the roundabout and the design we have, it eliminates those type of collisions, and it will dramatically decrease any kind of catastrophic crashes there. At this point, we're hoping we've been in design phase for about 3 months with Garber working on it. So we've got the layout that we're looking to go with as far as how it's going to fit in. And the biggest concern, and at this point, I know you questioned about construction. What's that going to happen with construction through that? At this point, they're not far along with the details of how we're going to phase the construction. But I can say this, you will always be able to get out of Hunter's Ridge. There won't be any time where there is anybody cut off from being able to get out of Hunter's Ridge. There will be a way to be able to get out of there.
Can you get back in?
You get back in, yes. You won't have to sleep in your car. You won't be find a place there. If you look, East Florence had the same concerns. Those businesses down there. Now, it may not be the most ideal situation that you're used to, but there will be a path. And remember, it is temporary while construction is going on. That you will be able to get out, and it won't block you from your daily tasks.
This may be a question for the guy in Garber, but if you know it, laid out like it is right now, would you say, this could change a bit, but for the most part, this is laid out the way it's going to be. How long does it normally take to do construction like this? Ballpark. I'm not going to hold you to a number, but
Construction depends on weather delays,
Yeah.
a whole lot. I mean, it's hard to say, but I would anticipate about 6 to 8 months. Get a good contractor in there,
Yeah.
weather and work through, so.
And at this point, I mean, I don't know if you want to open it for questions. I don't know if you want people to look at the drawings. I don't know, we've got different stations set up. How would you like to?
well,
Or is there any main topic else that you'd like me to?
if you're done, and the guys in Garber have nothing else to add to it, I do want to, before we go tonight, hear from the mayor, though, and I know Mayor wants to say a few things at the end. But if you have any questions, certainly, I guess now would be the time to, and we'll try to do this as orderly as we can. We'll start down this side of the room over here. This table's going on the side. Does anybody on this side have any questions regarding the roundabout? Got one right here. Okay, go ahead. We'll work our way this way. Yes.
I like a roundabout because all the traffic has a yield sign. Every direction has a yield sign, and the only people that have right-of-way are the ones that are in the circle itself. They have the right-of-way, but everybody else has to slow down and yield to whoever's in the right-of-way. I just don't think people understand that. And these roundabouts are all over the Northeast, if not in Europe and everywhere. And they're very efficient, and they avoid a lot of crashes. Now, you got some obstinate people that won't yield, and that's just normal. But the fact is, everybody has to slow down to get into that roundabout.
Since I took office, and this has been one of the main things that I've been talking about, I've been doing a lot of research on it myself, kind of reading up on them and studying up on them, and it seems to be more and more and more of them being built across the country. I put a video up on social media is one of the, I think, best and worst things that ever happened to us. You can get some good information there, or you can get some really bad information there. And but I just happened to see a story on there one day that I shared on Facebook of a little town in Mississippi that an engineer, one of you guys, reluctantly agreed to build a roundabout. And when he did, he decided he wanted 2 more, and they had 3. They now have 12 in this small city. He was saying he would have one at every intersection if he could. And we've got a line here. I live in Creekwood, right back here. I hate this traffic light down here. Anybody who wants it can have it. I mean, you can take it with you tonight. You got my permission. And that's one of those situations where the state came in. And Todd Noah wore him out about this. It's my life. It's a state. So kind of is what it is. So I live with that every day. Any other questions? I think you had one back here. I'm going to go to the back because he had his hand up, and I'll come back to you.
Stan Bowden, President Hunter.
Hey, Stan.
When the church went in, we had a great relationship under construction. They provided us with a point of contact. When issues came up, I could go directly. My question is, will we be provided with a point of contact for the construction process? So when members come to me with complaints or issues, that I could go to a point of contact to see that resolved?
Yes, and once we get to that phase, because like I said, right now we're still in design phase. But once we do that, that will be, well, you'll go through the bid process. We can get with that. You always can call our department. I would say, but yes, no, we can give you the information there to contact, and if there's any issues going on, if this does get built there, you know, we would like to know those too. So yes, we would gladly be your point of contact on that.
The city or the contractor?
The city would be, yes.
So just go through you, any issues we would have. We wouldn't go directly, because over there, we went directly to the contractor.
With this being a city project, that would be the better way of handling it. That way we can address the issue and then make sure that it does get addressed.
As long as we got a plan, thank you.
You know, this has been one of those, for me, a unique situation, because I know if Melissa Bailey were here, she would say this, and I'm sure the police officers would, and you guys would. Gresham Road was never meant to have this much traffic on it. It has just become a beast in the last few years. And I know our plans are, again, this is something, I know people may think that it's just kind of like we talk about this maybe every now and then. We talk about this a lot, and we want to see Gresham Road fixed, really nice, from one end to the other. There's a multitude of plans out there for it, and it's something we work hard on every day because, as I told someone the other day, and there was a resident of Hunter's Ridge, trying to take care of the needs of Hunter's Ridge, but at the same time, trying to take care of all the people that use it, travel back and forth to school and to work, and make sure they're safe. So we got all these different places here that we're trying to satisfy, and as you well know, you can't satisfy everybody, but you give it a shot, and I think that's kind of what we're all trying to do. Sir, I think you're next.
You answered one question right there. Is Gresham Road is a mess, and this roundabout is going to fix about 10% of the problem, in my opinion. What if anything is planned for the rest of Gresham Road? And I realize there are 3 entities involved, but
And Todd can elaborate on this, and if I'm speaking out of turn, I can only tell you things we've talked about. And this goes back to part of it's county, city, county, city. It's just chopped up. So there's some talk right now of us taking Gresham Road, city, coming all city down through there. Well, we're working through that process right now. So with that, if it ever does become all city, then we're definitely got some ideas about what to do with it. And I know a lot of you have heard, we're also talking about another roundabout down here at Middleton and Gresham. And all that's to keep traffic continually flowing and never having to stop down there and waiting on someone to turn left and you just want to go right and traffic backed up 15, 20 cars. That's what we're trying to work through. And am I close?
Yes, no, and that is kind of like we touched on. With it being chopped up, it's hard for the city to have a plan because the majority of Gresham Road is county road. And so we can only control what is just in our jurisdiction in this area.
And I'm hoping that changes soon so we can fix it. Yes, sir.
So talking about that intersection, the meetings that were at the Lauderdale County Board of Education a few years ago, pre-pandemic and during pandemic, one of the suggestions was brought up to extend Gresham through what's currently the Anderson property. That would alleviate some of the issues with Middle Road, because all the traffic is all the shortcutters are going towards Killen anyway.
Yeah.
I know the Andersons had mentioned, to my understanding, that they were willing to let their developer build that road, turn it over to the city after the fact, supposedly to facilitate their possible future development in that area. But they talked about moving that intersection, if they didn't run that through the Anderson property, move that intersection that would go to Huntsville Road down below what was the old wood floor store, currently Tobacco Express and All Stars Dance Academy, all of that, so they wouldn't have to go through the middle of Lackey's. Move that intersection down the hill just a little bit. That seemingly would be one way to circumvent this whole issue with Middle Road. It would be a city-owned road automatically because, is that still on the table? And as a secondary part of that question, mentioned the roundabout at Middle Road and Gresham. At one time in the early parts of the plan, if they did that, they talked about knocking Kobe off, like dead ending to Kobe and not having it contact Middle Road. My understanding is that has been shelved, that they would keep Kobe connected to Middle Road. Is that still the plan, to keep Kobe to Middle Road if they did put a roundabout there?
I can semi-answer that first part. I think all those options are on the table right now, but until we hash out all the, we had a snafu with it, as you well know, trying to get Middle Road, and the county wanted us to take Middle Road and Gresham Road, and that kind of got all messed up. So we're trying to go back and do this, the way that everybody wants it done and it pleases everybody. I think all those options are on the table still, but until we have city, till it's ours to be able to do this stuff with, and the county wants us to do this. It's not like I think that, again, social media is good and bad. The bad social media had us just stealing stuff. We're working good with the county on this. It just, there was some snafus along the way that we all regretted. But all those options are still out there. And I think and you just mentioned a couple of the really good ones there that we have definitely talked about. But I, certainly can't say yes or no to any of them right now until we have until we're maintaining those roads. And I think we're getting closer. I really do. I'm feeling like we're going to get there. But the second part of that question is, you lost me. When you got going around and making a
Turn
turn.
left off of Middle, or off of Gresham on the middle, and immediately there's a turn right to Kobe.
Colby.
The original plans that were laid out at those meetings had Kobe dead ending. They no longer were gonna connect Kobe to Middle. When I talked to Mr. Hill a few months ago, I was understanding through him that had been shelved because there's a lot of blowback to that, and that would greatly affect me. I would prefer it not dead end like that because there's a lot of driving around that's gotta happen after that. But they didn't want Kobe to connect to Middle if they made that roundabout there.
Our office has not seen any plans or proposal for.
Who was on the original blueprints that were at the meetings at that point? Yeah.
As far as going forward with it, I know when the roundabout at Middle and Gresham there, it's in the county and we need that shelved. I think a lot of that did too, but we have not seen anything with that to come through our office.
Yeah.
So I've got a couple of questions as well. What's the timeline? If this project was to get started, when would this start? And two, there's gotta be some kind of idea about how the people of Hunter's Ridge and that road are gonna work during construction. Can you elaborate on that a little bit?
Yes, and we're still in the design phase right now. Those construction drawings, and correct me if I'm wrong, Scott, y'all are still working on have not got to the layout as far as, because there will, depending on the phase of construction, will also depend on how the roundabout goes, and what gets detoured, what doesn't get detoured. All that will be detailed, that is part of the construction plan. So when we get a set of plans ready to put out for bid, to take back to city council for them to approve for construction, part of that set will have the detour plans in it. And we'll have, during this phase of construction, here's how traffic is going to flow. Those are all part of the design plans. We just haven't got that far yet. Scott and Garber, they've got the layout at this point, and like I said, we're at the 30%. That is that other 70% that once you kind of get staked down, here's where the roads are going to be, that's when you can dive into the details of phasing construction for traffic. And so all that, tonight, I don't have any kind of drawing like that to show you. But when we do have the full set of plans and ready for bid, that will be part of it. Contractor will be aware of that. Everybody be aware to make sure that that is. But I can assure you that you will have egress out of Hunter's Ridge during this time. I mean, we have to, emergency vehicles have to have that. Rest assured for that.
You gotta get to the golf course somewhere.
That's
You know, your backyard, okay?
Jimmy, you mentioned that I was in touch with you when you took office 4 years ago, but I've been squawking about this for about 12 years.
Yeah, it goes before me, you're right.
Actually, the first time I sat with elected officials, I sat with former Mayor Holt and Mayor Betterton, then Councilman Betterton. And that was 11 years ago when I was pregnant with that one.
Yeah.
So it's been a long time. But my question is, you mentioned a traffic study that said there were 6,000 cars traveling on Gresham Road. Is that the traffic study that was done 4 years ago when I met with Jimmy and?
No, that was the latest, and I'm trying to, actually, the county, that was the latest one the county did. I think that was along with when the church was, some point in the church, but that has been within the last year. I don't remember. the
23, I'm pretty sure.
That's
Early part of 23, and I think the church of the Highlands was involved with that. And that's one of those things that I can guarantee you, if it was 6,000 a year ago, it's probably 6,500 by now.
And I do know that study was done too. It was done on a Thursday, Friday, Saturday week. It was done to get the peaks, trying to hit every kind of cycle there, not trying to make it.
But that was done at the intersection at Hunter's Ridge at Seville. That was done in front of the Church of the Highlands property.
It was, I don't know the exact location. It probably was not done exactly in front of the church property there. It would, my guess, it was probably somewhere between the intersection and the church, along through there. The state also has you can go to AlDOT's website, and they have a traffic counter. Y'all probably seen the black tubes that get put out every so often all over town. The state keeps traffic counts for quite a few city roads. And Gresham is one of those, and that you have seen a steady increase along through Gresham, but I would say today it's probably still in that somewhere between 6,000 and 7,000.
You better, okay?
Just to follow up. So it's no secret that I'm not a fan of the roundabout proposal.
I didn't hear you say it.
I said it's no secret that I'm not a fan of the roundabout proposal.
I haven't heard that.
Never heard that before.
No.
But 4 years ago, when the traffic study was conducted at the Hunters Ridge intersection at Seville Street, it's my understanding and my recollection that there was enough traffic count on Gresham Road and enough traffic count crossing from Seville onto Gresham Road to meet the AlDOT metrics for a traffic signal. There was not at that time enough traffic count coming out of Hunters Ridge. Since then, phase 2 of Hunters Ridge has been completed, and as we've all discussed, the traffic has exploded on Gresham Road. Is it possible to get an additional traffic study done at our intersection before we move forward with any additional plans?
Well, that's for him to answer. One thing I've learned how to do, and I've grown to appreciate that people in city government do, and these guys do, is look down the road to the potential of growth. And I think when that was done back then, I think the writing was on the wall of what was coming on Gresham Road. It had become a shortcut, a bypass. Still, I don't understand why people went all the way down the middle when you could turn on Seville and just go behind Walmart and catch a traffic light and go on. You didn't get caught on the middle road, but it is what it is. But I think back then, in talking to everyone, they were looking down the road and like, we're gonna have a problem. This traffic count we've got right now is probably gonna double, and maybe even triple, with all the developers that we're getting calls from wanting to build apartments, homes. Never envisioned Church of the Highlands there, and all the other things that have inquired about, about that area right there. So at some point, something had to be done so we could keep people safe. And that's, keep going back to what I said earlier, once I talked to these guys and they explained to me reasons behind decisions being made, it's not necessarily always for the here and now, it's for here and now and what's coming. And here's what we gotta do. If we don't do this, we're gonna be in this situation. So I respect that from these guys and ladies that they can look down the road. I'm not real good at it, but I'm getting better at it because I'm around, smarter people than me. Hope that, can you do another?
And there are 8 warrants that the MUC, that the Federal Highway Administration puts out to, if it meets a warrant, then it qualifies for a signal. The one you're referring to there is the main one, and it is the traffic volumes on the main road and then the traffic volumes on the side roads. And we looked at that, because that's the last thing we want to do, is spend money that's going to put in an intersection that in 3 years is going to be obsolete and not working, and we're going to have bigger problems. And we looked at those numbers. And one reason why that a roundabout is successful in this area is because of the Hunter's Ridge leg of it. That subdivision is, that whole leg of it, it's not a street, it's not a thoroughfare, it is a outlet for that subdivision. And that subdivision is where it is. It's almost maxed out now. And with that leg being as few as traffic as the other 3, that's what makes the roundabout the best design for this. We looked at those numbers. The side street is what is hurting the meeting a warrant for a traffic signal. There's just not enough traffic because you have to have a certain amount of cars per hour for 8 straight hours to qualify for a signal. And the Hunter's Ridge or the Seville area only counts one way. So the Hunter's Ridge, it is, when you look at that warrant, there's the main traffic line going down Grisham is one side of it, and it counts both directions. The minor street that counts to see what number it has to meet is only in one direction. So the Hunter's Ridge side of it's never going to be the main counting component to meet that warrant. It's always going to be Seville, and the traffic is just not there for those 8 hours to meet that certain percentage of the main road. And we got those numbers in the office when we did the study. We actually, even after we started design, there was another traffic study done. We checked it again, and it's just that that volume there of intersecting traffic is not there to meet that. And once again, with the smaller volume coming from Hunter's Ridge is really what's going to make this roundabout be more effective than a signalized intersection.
David?
Yeah, I just still want to say a few things. First of all, I'd like to say about the roundabout, I don't mind roundabouts. I think in some situations they're good, some situations they don't make sense. Either way, I'm more concerned about other things. The main thing I'm speaking right now is I'm going to give you a little grief, Jimmy, is your opening statement. It was pretty much your opening statement when you were talking about your role as a council person. That basically that we're all laymen, you're a layman, you're an ex-radio host, and we know nothing and the department heads know everything, and that is your job, is to basically communicate the will of the department heads to the public. That's the gist I got from that. I would like to think a council person could be more than that. I would like to think our voices are a little bit more than that. We have concerns. Yes, department heads are specialists. They went to school, they were trained, and all that stuff. But that leaves out the occurrences of corruption or biases or a million different other concerns the public could have. And I felt like that opening statement was sort of like dismissing us and your role from the get-go at the beginning of this meeting. I feel like our voices do matter. I think there could be very intelligent people that know exactly what they're doing, but are they really serving our interests? Do they have other people in mind? Are they related to contractors getting this bid? I don't know anything about this. I'm saying there's a million different reasons why the public should inquire about things, and there's a million different reasons why a council person should look deeper in there. It doesn't matter if you're a radio person, just a natural curiosity and being able to be an objective thinker, you'd be able to see if something passes the sniff test or not. So I just wanted to kind of push back a little bit on that opening statement. I think that sounded a little, I think it's a term, it's called like a statist, sort of point of view that, yeah, I just didn't really like, that kind of rubbed me the wrong way. I'm just throwing that out there because there is such thing as a corruption, and whether you know it or not, nationwide trust in government, national and local, is at an all-time low. So our voices do matter, and your job might be more than just a go-between between the public and the department heads. That's all I got. Thank you.
Well, I don't know how you got that out of what I said, but I've known you now for 4 years, and you've been doing that for 4 years, so God bless you. Anybody else? Yes, sir.
I had 2 questions, but I did want to remark that I remember in 2023 when they put the counter, and you're correct, it was between the Church of the Highlands and Seville. I believe it was located right in there. My first question is, this may be a dumb question, but can tractor trailers navigate a roundabout?
Yes, tractor trailers, fire trucks, status one, all, they are designed to be able to carry those.
Yeah, I mean, I believe, did Grayson do the initial study 4 or 5 years ago?
As a start,
Was it Grayson that did the initial 4 or 5 years ago, the study on Gresham Road?
yes, they did Gardner.
So they recommended the roundabout at that time. They're the experts, and I think it makes perfect sense in terms of traffic flow and all the things you talked about. This is kind of related to the road in a way, so I don't know that this question's for you, but maybe Jimmy can answer. Is there any ongoing communication with Mayor Conley regarding annexation of the road, Gresham Road, that area?
I'm sorry, I couldn't hear you.
Sure.
I've had the flu last week and my ears are still stopped up.
No problem, Jimmy.
Yes, and you can talk about that when it's your turn to talk. And he has, the mayor's been talking to Mayor Conley about this stuff at great length. And that's why I feel like, we're close, to getting there.
I had a couple more questions, but they're not related to the road, so should I hold those for other leaders? Two of the other guys that spoke, I have questions for them. I have one for Tad and one for,
Okay.
was it
All
David?
right. Come on up.
You say you got one for me?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
I was just curious if there's any type of a, approximate year when they phased out the use of lead water pipes. In other words, if you know when your house was built, I'm just trying to correlate if there's any time period like that.
Sure, okay, so we test for lead and copper every 3 years, what they call triennial testing. And our last results were well below the levels. I've got that in my folder. I'd be glad to provide you with a copy of the numbers with our consumer confidence report that we send out. If your home was built between, so they look for certain tiers, tier 1, tier 2, tier 3. They want us to test as many tier 1 homes as we possibly can. Those homes were built between 1980 and 1987. Okay, so that's the main years that we look at. That's what we try to test for. We test, of course, we test every 3 years as we're supposed to. If you have an older home, and I'll just go, pre-1960, there's a chance that you may have galvanized or lead pipes. If you have a home that was built between 1980 and 1987, you may fall into that tier 1 category where they had a certain type of copper that they used. That's the reason we classify that as tier 1, or the EPA classifies that as a tier 1 home. If your home was built post-1987, more than likely you have a different type of copper or you have PVC. Some of the newer homes use PEX. Of course, that's what we call it. I'm sure there's the correct term, but we just identified as PEGs. So really, if your home was built in that 80 to 87 year range, there's a level of concern, I guess you could say. And if your home was built prior to 1960, there's a level of concern that you would want to get checked.
And even with copper prior to 1980, you have lead soldered joints. So there's a chance that you get some exposure, with lead, with that type of plumbing as well. So does that answer your question?
Very helpful, thank you.
Okay, no problem.
And then I had one for, is it David?
Well, come where I can hear you.
Sure. I'm sorry. I'm just curious, you mentioned, road treatments, so aside from removal of snow and ice or whatever, you mentioned chemicals. And I was just curious, I'm old school, I don't know, do you use sand or salt, or what type of chemicals are you using these days?
Bridges we use salt, bridges we use gravel and sand. And then on, the rest of the roads, we use salt that we get from the port down here. Now, we also have a pallet this year of calcium chloride, which has a different melting point. It can be used in some tough areas. So we're gonna see how we do with that in the spots that we have a lot of trouble with. It's a trial and error thing, kind of trying to learn. So now the county uses that on a lot of the stuff they do. So we're trying to work together and learn from each other. Aldot had a lot of good insight on it. They spent a lot of money studying it. So a couple other things out there, but they're harmful in other ways. So that's what we're gonna try this time, see how it goes.
All right, David, thank you. Anybody else we're gonna have to start winding it down. I'm gonna get him, then I'll come to you.
One comment and one question. The comment is during the construction, everybody's gonna change their driving habits. I promise you, Gresham's gonna slow down quickly. The other is, if there is, let's say it jumps to 8,000 a day, you're telling us basically the traffic circle is gonna have no problem with that volume.
What?
12 to 15.
12 to 15,000, is what do you say? And I don't know if we mentioned it, you may have, and I apologize if I'm repeating myself. This lane in the roundabout is 19 feet wide. I know one gentleman had a huge concern, a very legitimate concern, is could he get his bass boat around it? And he can rest tonight knowing that you can get a big boat around that. The lane itself is 19 feet, and then the inside concrete pad is how wide? 8, 9, 10 feet?
I think it's 10 to 12.
10 to 12 feet. So that's concrete. And you can still, if you need a little more room, you can go up on that. And my vision for that, and I shared it with them, that these stamps will look like paving stones and give it a decorative look. And, not make it just a plain Jane roundabout, give it some decoration. You got a question?
About the roundabout?
Yes, ma'am.
I have driven in roundabouts, around the roundabouts a lot. And to me, it's confusing and unsafe. Here are some comments about it, driver confusion. If anybody's not familiar with it, it is very confusing to get in, well, not to get in, but to get out. Because you cannot merge out that easily. Also, larger space requirements, it does. And large vehicle requirements, is it gonna be
Yes, ma'am. That's what I was trying to point out there. 19-foot lane, 19 feet wide for the lane, and then you have another 10 to 12 feet of concrete on the inside that you can go along if you got a little too far inside. So you have fire trucks, pulling trailers, any of that stuff. It's plenty big enough for that.
Okay, all right. And lastly, the initial construction cost is usually much higher than a regular traffic light.
Right.
So that also, are you considering that?
Well, as Mr. Sullivan alluded to, yeah, they took a look at all those things, with the traffic light and everything you just mentioned, they took into consideration. Yes, ma'am.
Okay, thank you.
Yes, ma'am. Okay, I'm gonna start winding down. Let me say, if anyone misunderstood me at the beginning, that I was saying that these guys are smarter than everybody, as Mr. Carson alluded to, accept my apology. I certainly didn't mean that, because I know there's at least one over there that I'm smarter than he is, so. Everybody's wondering which one right now, so anyway, I certainly didn't mean that. Mayor's gonna come up and kind of close us out. As I also said at the beginning, this is my 5th year or 5-year term. I do have every plan in the world to run again for one more term, which will be 4 years. And I just want to see all this stuff we're talking about tonight and all these projects we're working on come to fruition. And then I know I can go home and enjoy all of it down the road. And Ms. Simmons is our president of our city council. I appreciate her being here tonight. And Mr. Griffin from District 3, thank you. The other council members sent messages telling me why they couldn't be here, but they did come, and I appreciate that. Mayor?
Is this working up here? Seeing Brandon Brown over here with this cute little baby, some of you may not know it, but this guy right here does wonderful work in our community with disc golf. How many of you know what disc golf is? It's unbelievable that they're professional disc golfers, and they do a wonderful job. We've got several courses here, and they're well received. And people come here and spend money in our community doing that. Couldn't be more pleased. I could talk about a lot of things, but one thing I want to say thanks certainly to Ms. Simmons, Mr. Griffin, and Jimmy for doing this. We have a great city. Every single day I hear people say, wow, you know, the quality of life, the friendships, and all those kinds of things. We got a lot to be thankful for. I have a lot to be thankful for these folks that are sitting here that work so hard that I can call on speed dial, say you got a deer on the side of the road, a limb down, and all those kinds of things. That's pretty impressive to be able to do that, and they do a great job. Just so you know, we have over 340 miles of roadway in the city of Florence. 340 miles. Now, we have a snow. I promised David I'd get him a frosted snowman so he can get around all those miles that he told me he couldn't. We've got 52,000 electrical customers that cover this entire county. We've got 28,000 water customers, is that right? We cover water out to Blue Water Creek, Kelly, in that area. But I'd like to talk about two things. One is part of the study that we had for the roundabouts also included all the way to the Murphy Express. And one of the things they wanted us to do was to widen that. So the county and the city worked together. We worked really hard to get this done, an 8-trip-2 project. The county and city shared the cost of the engineering, and that project was paid for through the grant. And it's now finished. I had to fuss a little bit because even after they finished it, they didn't make it wide enough on one side, and the trucks were augering it out on the side, but they're now fixing that. That's been a great resource to get out on the highway there. You're gonna cut through, I cut through often, come through there. I never had any problem. Let me just tell you, I've tried both ways. If I start at the church there across from Diamond Park and go from there out to Murphy Express using Cox Street and turn in on point, I can get there just as quick going that way as cut through. Now, a lot of people wouldn't believe that, but I've tried it numerous times. So, it is, that certainly is what it is. The second thing I'd like to tell you about is another grant we've been working on. And, the frustrating thing for me as a neighbor or as a council person, public thinks, well, you can go to Lowe's or Target or Home Depot and buy stuff, and we can start this project next week. We've been working on a project on Rickwood Road for between 8 and 10 years. And we still haven't gotten final approval from the railroad to move that project forward. But we have got another TAP grant that has just been approved, and that will offer some security to come across Help Drive down to Bradshaw Drive mile sidewalk all the way up to the freshman center. So I'm certainly very pleased about that, and I'll be here afterwards to answer any questions.
Thank you, Mayor. I did forget to mention, folks in Hunter's Ridge, someone hit one of your light poles the other night, and it, judging from the picture I saw, it looked like somebody leaving Hunter's Ridge. The tracks in the, you don't think so? Okay. Maybe I'm looking at it backwards then, I'm looking at it on the wrong side. Somebody hit your light pole. Who knows that happened? But we got you one coming. We actually had one in stock, but it did not have the light, so they're having to get the light that fits that particular pole, and they're going to put it up for you. And they were hoping to do it today, but maybe tomorrow or the next day. They're getting it. They did have one in stock, so they're going to get that fixed for you. Y'all, I appreciate you so much for coming out. I know it's tough to get out on a nasty night like tonight, and I hope y'all have a Merry Christmas. And if you need me, please give me a call. Don't hesitate to do it. And again, I look forward to serving you